It's time now for the Sports Objective Podcast. No talking heads, just guys who love sports. Here's Dave Richmond.
Welcome into the Sports Objective Podcast, a very special episode as we have a great guest coming up. And with us right now, we have a great one, Kyle from LaGrange Barber. Hey, man, what's up?
What's going on, Dave?
You got some power? I know last week you had some trouble with power. You good now?
Yeah, no power issues this week. We hadn't had any storms come through, no power out. Yeah, we had 2 nights last week.
You know what's bad, and I'm going to say this, is I know you and Jessica are responsible people, but it's bad when you pay your electric bill and you have no electricity. That sucks. I'm just going to say that straight up. That's terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't because we didn't pay the bill. Yeah, it was knocked out because of other issues, indeed.
And not only that, if you have electric, then obviously you have no air conditioning, so that's even worse.
Thank God it was at night.
Yeah, exactly. In the 90s, and we're not talking about the 1990s. We're talking about temperature. We'll be joined a little bit by Bubba Rosenbaum. We got a very special guest, but hey, one of our all-time favorites. He's in my Hall of Fame, and certainly Kyle and Bubba's for the Sports Objective Hall of Fame, and that's Terry Gallaher. How are you, sir?
I'm sweating. It's hot down here in Georgia. I'm telling you.
Is it a rainy night in Georgia?
It hadn't been much rain, but it sure has been some heat.
It's like the devil went down to Georgia because it feels like hell.
Well, it's bad when it's 90 degrees at 8 o'clock.
You know what's bad? You know what's bad for the podcast is it should be the night the lights went out in Georgia instead of the night the lights went out in LaGrange.
Right.
How many references we can get to Georgia songs before? I guess
Georgia's on my
mind.
Georgia
on our mind. Damn it.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Georgia.
Georgia, sweet Georgia.
Well,
I think I'm out of Georgia songs. Go ahead, Terry.
I did get to see the legendary Toomer's Corner last week when I went over to Auburn to play golf with
the side of that's where that's where they toilet paper, right? They TV after big
wins. Always, yeah. There's.
Or I guess in Bama y'all call it rolling it, don't you? They roll.
Well, that's where you get into that roll tide roll mess. I ain't going there. I tell you, that'll make you want to hit somebody. Roll tide roll. Yeah, you don't say that in Auburn. I can guarantee.
All right, so they don't roll Toomer's Corner. So that's not what they say.
Well, there's nothing to roll now because the idiots.
They killed the trees. That's right.
But they've planted two. There's two trees that's been planted there, and they're not little baby trees either. So they do have some areas that you can still do your toilet paper thing, but sleepy little town on the plains or something like that they call it, and of course that's where Wayne Bolt lives, who's going to join us in a little bit. So
good job, Terry. That's a tease that we call that in the radio.
He lives on the fourth hole fairway, so they won't get him off the golf course.
Yeah, we had a big commit today, guys, in recruiting, and we need Bubba here on the line because I'm terrible with names. But Dave, Terry, either one of you see that?
I did. Hang on, I've got it right here on my phone. If you can give me a second, and you guys talk, and I can tell you the names.
Okay, I do know he had some big time offers from ACC schools. Pretty highly recruited kid, one of the highest rated kids, Mike Houston, has signed so far. Looking at his offer sheet, I think he had offers from Virginia and Virginia Tech. We should have pulled this information up before we started talking about it. That wasn't very smart on my part. But
all right, hang on, I'm looking.
Bubba, see, we didn't have Bubba.
Yeah, no, Bubba would have remembered it and just spit it out just like that.
He's our fact man.
He is. He's indeed statistician.
Yeah, he's our stat.
Yeah. That's right. I promise to our listeners, you want to stay tuned for the Wayne Bolt interview and the interaction between Wayne and Terry, and don't turn it off just yet. Just stay around, keep listening. It gets better, I promise you. Wayne Bolt's a lot of fun, and that's going to be coming up here later on in the podcast. Wayne Bolt played in the 70s here at East Carolina under Pat Dye, and then had a long coaching career. Coached under Pat Dye. Coached down at UAB when the Pirates were playing UAB in the early 2000s, and So that'll be fun to hear from him here in a little bit. But Dave, you got that information?
I do. Yeah, it's Taji. It looks like Taji. Is it Taji Hudson? It looks like, and had offers.
It's probably Tajay. It's probably how you say it.
Tajay. Okay. All right, but anyway, he's a big time pickup for the Pirates, and again, I said it before. You give 4 years for the Pirates of recruiting.
You got his offer list there in front of you?
I'll have to look at it. Hang on. Yeah, I'll be back with you. You talk some more, guys.
I'll forget it, Dave. Just forget it. We shouldn't even brought it up. But Terry,
with me, I don't care what they are as a recruit. I'm looking at what they are once they get there.
No, absolutely. But there is something to be said for that offer list. It's not always, certainly not always. But and to me, it's not always necessarily the Power 5 schools offered them. I like to know who offered them if I respect their coach. Because there's
Army, Air Force, Virginia Tech. It looks like up here. There's like 4 schools that Bubba texted me.
Some kids they get there's so many form letters sent out that some kids they maybe think they're being recruited and they're really not by some of these schools.
Well, this recruiting information that typically comes from not from the kid, but that would come straight from Stephen Igo, who runs 24/7. But offer from Air Force and Army means you don't have to worry about him qualifying. If Air Force and Army was going to offer him, the kids got
and UVA as well.
And UVA.
I forgot that one.
Shouldn't be a problem.
Well, you know what's great about this coaching staff is you have 200 or 300 years worth of coaching experience, and then
you combine them all together, yeah.
Yeah, and you look at these guys are just like warriors. I'm glad that they're coaching at our school and not competing against that. And I think that the great thing about it, I want to get you guys' opinion on this when it comes to recruiting. The thing I love about all 3 of the big coaches, when you look at Mike Houston, Joe Dooley, and Cliff Godwin, I'll throw that in, by the way, they feel like, hey, East Carolina's the best, and we're going to get the best players that fit our program. And before, it was like, I get so sick and tired of these people. They're stepping stone coaches who think, oh, we're just little old East Carolina and we're lucky to get a 2-star or whatever. No, that's nonsense. Let's go after the 4- and 5-star guys as well. The recruiting is by relationships, and that's the reason why for basketball we got the Charles Coleman in the world, and you have Mason Garcia because of Donnie K, and of course, I know Tony. No, I know, but it actually goes back to the previous staff that they recognize this guy from the Myrtle Beach area, and when you have Mason Garcia and Donnie K is like on it and one of the best recruiters ever. I mean, it's kind of an unfair advantage we have at East Carolina. Maybe not a psychological advantage, but an unfair advantage when you have a guy like Donnie K recruiting for you.
Yeah, Donnie K is a good evaluator, talent, good recruiter, and a hell of a coach. Mason Garcia, a big commitment from the Myrtle Beach area. Great high school quarterback. Can't wait to see what he does once he gets here. But you mentioned Cliff Godwin, Dave. We had some bad news coming from the baseball program with Coach Frizzell leaving our pitching coach, taking the same position at Kentucky. That was disappointing to see him leave.
Yeah, I'm curious about that, and I'm going to ask you guys, and normally this is raw and real. I'm just disappointed because I can make the argument. I'll tell you my feelings on it. Maybe it's a change of scenery he needed. Maybe it's because it's the SEC that he would be the pitching coach there. But I just don't see Kentucky, unless he's the head coach of Kentucky, I'm still having a hard time wrapping my brains other than this SEC. And I'll be honest, I'm not anti-him. I thank him for all the time he had under Billy Godwin and Cliff Godwin, and I'm not anti-him or bitter or anything like that. It's just I'm still trying to understand. The only thing I think of is money. Is the only thing I think of.
Well, I can give you a theory on it.
Okay.
He's been here for a long time, and most guys want to be a head coach sometime. And if he hasn't got that opportunity while he's been here, he probably feels he needs to leave and go to an SEC school to get the opportunity to move up the next step to be a head coach. That would be my theory.
Yeah, you don't know what the backstory is on that either, but in terms of relationships and all that type of stuff. So,
yeah. But but I just thank him for his service. He's a great coach, a great guy. I'm not anti him. I'm not mad that he's leaving. It's just a strategy of if it's more money, it could be change of scenery. It could be the very fact it is an SEC job, and I understand that. I just thought that when I saw that, I was like, I don't remember Kentucky firing their coach, and I looked and said, oh, it's the same position. It just caught me. I guess I'll be dishonest with you guys. I'm not surprised he's leaving. I'm just surprised. I thought that when I guess the real shocker for me, I thought when Dan, he's such a great talent when it comes to baseball and evaluating talent and pitchers. I thought
he'd be leaving for a head coaching job.
Yes, I did. That's my
and that's kind of my point. My guess is it didn't come, or at least not when he wanted to leave for, so he feels he needs to go to an SEC school to have that opportunity to become a head coach, and that's just me theorizing. I could be wrong on that, but the key now is Cliff's got to replace him, and who's Cliff going to replace him with? Dan Rozelle was a great pitching coach. That's hugely important. That's like your offensive or defensive coordinator in football. So Cliff's got to make sure he makes the right hire,
and I feel like he will.
Yeah. He hadn't had any. Has he had any attrition to his coaching staff since he's been here? I mean,
not really, not much.
So this is going to be his first time having to replace somebody. Certainly, Cliff is well connected, knows a lot of people. So I think he'll make a good hire. But it'll be interesting to see who he brings in, and got to keep this thing rolling.
Yeah, and we're continuing. Cliff is continuing doing a great job recruiting, and just guy after guy after guy after commit after commit after commit. And you just have a feeling, guys, that, Terry, I don't know if you've heard, you may have missed some of our podcasts, but I really believe with the big three coaches, you're going to see a New Year's Six Bowl. You're going to see
New Year's Six Bowl.
You're going to see an NCAA tournament appearance with Dooley, and you're going to see Omaha for sure. So between the three big coaches, I mean that.
If I had to put money on one of the three, I do think Cliff will get us to Omaha. New Year's Six Bowl, who knows? I know we're going to Mike Houston's definitely going to get this thing turned around. But
I want to see a 6-win season first.
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, Jake, I'll be happy with next year that new bowl in Myrtle Beach. Let's go hell with the Myrtle Beach Bowl next year.
Hey, at least it won't be a virtual bowl.
That's right. Could you imagine? By the way, that stadium only holds is going to hold 20,000. Where they're going to hold that bowl at in Myrtle Beach. Could you imagine if they get because with the conference tie-ins, this could happen. Could you imagine if they get an East Carolina Appalachian State matchup in that bowl game?
Oh my God! Yeah,
the secondary market, people would be scalping tickets like crazy for that.
You know what? Though, you know what I do? If I could, if they have that game, that would be not as big as far as the Peach Bowl, but having East Carolina and Appalachian State in the same bowl in Myrtle Beach, as far as the atmosphere,
40,000. I mean, that thing would.
They could add.
Out. Yeah.
They could add those PGA Tour. You know how they had
the temporary bleachers.
They would have to add seats, I would think. I mean, to have that come because
it would be sold out in a hurry.
Yeah. If I were the bowl officials, I would find a way to get some. I don't know the configuration of that bowl, so I'm speaking out of turn, but I would definitely add some seats because that would be you're on the money there, Kyle. That's the kind of. I like the back in the day when they had those kind of matchups, kind of like the Peach Bowl, the invitation.
Yeah.
And when NC State wouldn't play us and you put the Peach Bowl, we come back and we beat them the last game at Atlanta-Fulton County Stadium there where the Falcons used to play with the Braves at the same stadium. I mean, it was just I was there that day, and being a Pirate fan, I was in the NC State section. I'll never forget the Peach Bowl. I didn't have much to cheer about. The State fans I'll never forget that. State fans were leaving and found out they lost the game on I-85. They did. They left early, but there's idiots. They left early, like they're up 17 the fourth quarter, so they were trying to beat. I mean, what else are you going to do? If you're there for a bowl game, it's not like it's just this old game. It's a bowl game, and it's East Carolina.
Well,
they thought they had it in the bag, and they were leaving. The reason I know that is I was in the state section.
You know what, though, Dave? would you really want to watch your team blow a 17-point lead? So it's probably, to me, the Pirate fans that left early because they thought they would have lost it, and I'm sure there were a few. Those are the ones that regretted leaving the Peach Bar early.
That's true. But I tell you, it was a special day. But we're going to definitely be bowling very soon, sooner than later. Yeah. And I tell you what, when we do, it's going to be extra sweet. This reminds me, guys, of the 2006 year with Skip Holtz when we went down to the Birmingham Bowl, the PapaJohns.com Bowl, where we had no pizza. But
well, we'll see. This reminds me more of the 05 season when Skip turned things around and we didn't get to a bowl, but it was a step in the right direction. We're probably going to have to win 7 to get to a bowl this year with 2 FCS opponents. So 6-6 probably won't get us there. That will depend on a couple things ahead of us. And we play 2 FCSs. But, I think winning 7 is possible but not probable. I just want to see a better product on the field and know that we're turning things around. That's what I'm worried about, and I think we will see that, and I'm looking forward to watching us grow.
You don't think we'll open up our quarterback job 8th week of the season?
I'm going to guess, barring injury, no, Terry. I'm gonna assume not. We were talking about that, me and Bubba, how Scotty Montgomery had a guy that was a Heisman Trophy candidate in Gardner Minshew. Yeah. He almost won the Heisman Trophy at Washington State this year. He had Philip Nelson, who played professional football this year in the Alliance of American Football, and he couldn't do jack with either one of them. And I saw a poster on Bowling Our Banner questioning how good Holton Ahlers really is. No worries. Yeah, no worries. Coach Montgomery couldn't win with a Heisman Trophy candidate and a guy who played pro football this year. They both look terrible under him. Holton will be just fine. Holton's just going to be a true sophomore this year. And
I'm just glad he made it through last year.
No kidding. Yeah. And I don't think Reed. I think Reed Herring's got potential. I think
you're right.
Early in the year, Reed showed some flashes and lost a lot of confidence and got beat up. So I think we're just fine at the quarterback position if we can keep both those guys healthy. But
when you look at and Donnie K went after him because of that very fact, you don't know. Obviously, I love Holton and we love Morgan Ahlers. I've been friends with him since 1996. He has the great boys and such a great story. A local kid who's sees Shane Carden. He sees those conference championships when he was a little boy, and now he's here, the local hero. The problem becomes it would be in the game of football if we've had quarterbacks go down before, and we will in the future, and God forbid anything happens to Holton. But Reed Herring, another thing that comes to mind, guys, is how much I know, Terry, you love Coach Steve Shankweiler. He can get those guys, if he can get those guys, coach them up just a little bit. There's talent on that offensive line, as Kyle, I know we talked about on the podcast where Coach Houston was surprised of the number of guys that we have. We've got talent on the O-line, and if we can just do any kind of protection on the quarterback, especially you get a guy like Reed, for example. I think one of the problems that Reed had, he's more of a pro-style drop-back quarterback, and he was on his butt more than he was. And then the play calling.
You have no running game.
When you have no running game.
It's particularly with a kid like Reed, whose mobility is limited. What he needs to be able to do is play action and play in the pocket.
And when on defense, all you got to do is pull them ears back and get down in that 3-point stance and just come running. That makes it a little easier to rush quarterback, So it's going to be a whole different show, and I think don't expect miracles, but expect improvement. And
I think
absolutely.
I think what's going to be interesting to see is we're talking about quarterback position. When you look at the Gardner-Webb game and when you look at the William and Mary game, you feel like that you could put a Reed Herring in. You feel like you could put him in there after. You don't want to get Holton hurt, but also you want to give him get some confidence back in the guy. If we're in position, you got to figure against Gardner-Webb.
we'll be in position to put Holton on the bench in the second half and play Reed.
At this point, I want to beat a FCS team.
That's what you notice. You notice, not to disrespect Gardner Webb, Terry, but you notice I said Gardner Webb. I didn't say William and Mary. William and Mary does have a pulse, and Mike London. Yeah. Mike London's their head coach now, and they're in the Colonial. And
there's no reason
if we lose to Gardner Webb, we just need to drop football.
Exactly, I agree with that. I've said that all along. And with the very first game of the home game with Mike Houston, that will be tremendous to get a big win.
Well, but let's just let's temper our expectations and understand where we were and where we are actually, because right now we're 3-9 from last year, and so and then in the fall we'll be 0-0, and let's go from there.
You know what I like, guys, and I know we've had Phil still on, but all these magazines and all these big talking heads. We're not talking heads, as we say in the beginning of the show. Our great voice of the podcast, Brian Friedman. But if you look at all these people, we're sitting pretty right now because because of Scotty Montgomery, nobody's given us any respect. And if you're Kyle and Terry, I want to get you guys your thoughts on it. If you're Mike Houston, wouldn't you say, hey guys, they picked us like next to last in the East. They've got us we're winning maybe 3 or 4 games because that's what we've done the last 3 years. So history. They think, well, that's what they've done the last 3 years, and I really believe. Maybe I'm wrong. Schedule's easier. I've said it all along, 7-5. At the worst, 6-6. What do you guys think?
Well, as far as the pundits, the national media, there's no reason they should have us, any higher. They we haven't proved it. So it makes sense for them to have us there. That's going to be one of many motivating factors for this team. They shouldn't be motivated just to get better because they ought to have some damn pride as football players and as men to not go out there on the field and get their asses embarrassed like they did the last couple of years. And now they have a coaching staff that can actually lead them and teach them how to play ball and how to do it the right way and how to practice right, all that kind of stuff. As far as projecting the record, if you put a gun to my head, I'm going to say 5-7. I know you say 7-5. I think
that'll be an improvement.
As bad as we were, 7-5, I think would be fantastic. But I'm going to say 5-7, and I'll be happy, to be honest with you.
Well,
Terry, you're going 12-0.
And again, y'all laugh, but in my mind, yeah. But the thing I'm gonna do is take it one step at a time. And I look at what happened when Mike Houston and his coaches first got here. I don't believe they were taking a break. I believe they went right to work, and that's where it starts because Coach Dye would always talk about how to divide the year into parts, and it starts with winter conditioning.
Winter conditioning, right? Yeah.
And then you go from there to spring, and then you go from spring into summer and summer workouts, and then from there you go to fall and fall workouts, and then it becomes a week-to-week thing. And I think the expectation and if you got to tell me something to get me fired up to play NC State that first game, I don't need to be playing.
Exactly.
So
they're big time.
I think Coach Houston and his staff that's what they're finding out, and they're going to put on the field guys that are going to play their hearts out. And,
right.
and ones I'm gonna win or lose with guys that are playing their hearts out, leaving it on the field. And that's what will happen. And so you can't help but feel that we're going to be better. And I'd say there's, we got potential. We could go 8-4. However, we could go 4-8. So right now, like I said, we're 9 and 27.
Yeah.
Over a 3-year period. Whew.
Yep.
You know.
Who would have ever thought that it would be that bad?
Absolutely. But I guarantee you, people in the college coaching community, they know what's going on, and the website people and the sports writers and all that type of stuff. Yeah, they've got their things and they got their opinions and so forth. But I guarantee you, nobody's going to. If you take us for granted this year, you're going to lose.
Yeah. And Phil Steele, while he picked us fifth in the East, he even said in his magazine it would not surprise him if we ended up competing for a bowl game this year because he believes in Mike Houston. So,
right. That's right.
I mean, can we? I will say this: is there anybody out there that's in Pirate Nation who thinks that Mike Houston's not going to be successful? Is there any haters out there? I haven't.
Oh, there's a couple. There's a
really?
couple, Dave. Oh, yeah,
serious?
there's a couple. There's a couple that are a little negative for my taste. If you go over to Boneyard Banner, there's a couple of asshats who were in love with
Montgomery.
Well, just that whole regime of Cecil State and of Jeff Comper, and your former employer. I don't even get me started. But yeah, there's a couple of negative asshats, but mostly
I can't believe that because he has.
Oh, that's true.
You know, we hired a coach that had no coaching experience and expected him to coach at the level of East Carolina, and it's totally ridiculous. And you have a guy who is it's like a ladder. Every rung, if you will, if you think of a rung of a ladder that he's coached at high school, everywhere he's won. He's been successful.
Yeah, he's a winner. He's a winner everywhere. He my favorite coach in college football is Chris Creighton, and it's very similar. Chris Creighton won at multiple levels. And now, he's at Eastern Michigan and has done a hell of a job turning around the worst program in FBS. And very similar. Coached at Division III, the Division II, and he skipped the FCS route and went straight to FBS. But same kind of thing. A winner's a winner. A winner translates. If you're a winner at one level, you're going to be a winner at another level.
Right. And it's amazing to me that I can't believe again that there's that's pretty sad if you think Mike Houston's going to be terrible here. And I understand that there's times I will be objective in the fact that there are good coaches that are not the right fit. Mike Houston is the perfect fit for. We knew that 2017 when we got our ass kicked by James Madison.
After the first loss, I guarantee you there'll be people wanting to fire him. So.
Oh, and look, look. If we NC State, for example, we're a 20-point underdog to NC State. If we lost by 20, that would be a 30-point turnaround from last year.
Exactly.
So, I mean, yes, people got to realize how low we were and how bad we were. And you got to have realistic expectations. Just like you said, don't expect miracles, expect improvements.
Right.
And I think that's what we'll see.
But the other thing, too, is that we've got another thing that was upsetting to me, Terry and Kyle, is the very fact that, in my opinion, there were games like that South Florida game last year, so many games that we were out-coached. We had talent. Yeah. We were in the position to win the damn game, and we got out-coached. Tulane, perfect.
Tulane, yeah, Willie Fritz, yeah, obviously out-coached
really good coach.
Montgomery. So,
2 years. 2 years.
Yep. You're right. It is what it. Thank God it's over, and on to the Mike Houston era, and we'll see what happens. But speaking of coaches, we got a guy on here with us that was a long-time assistant coach in Wayne Bolt, guys.
Well, we're getting closer and closer to a little bit over a month before football season, and guys, I know that we've got some special guests on the line for sure, right, Bubba?
Yeah, we have guest host Terry Gallaher, who, of course, played wide receiver for the Pirates in the Pat Dye era, and Terry's been on with us quite a bit. But we're also very excited to have a first-time guest, a former teammate of Terry's at East Carolina, and then went on to a lengthy career in coaching, Wayne Bolt. Wayne, welcome in.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. We appreciate you coming on. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I was just going to say we've been wanting to have you on for a while now, and here we are.
That's good. That's good. We'll make it work.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, it's always good to have Coach Bolt around. He can liven things up a little bit.
So Wayne, taking a look at things, I believe you were originally from Augusta, Georgia. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So talk a little bit about your high school days and your path to ECU under Coach Dye.
Yeah. I played at Richmond Academy there in Augusta, which Coach Dye played there also. That just tells you how old that high school is. Then, I was recruited by the Citadel. Coach Dye got the job from Alabama to East Carolina, and then my high school coach, he says, he comes in, he says, do you want to go visit East Carolina? Pat Dye just got the job. I said, yeah. Who is Pat Dye and where's East Carolina? I'm in. I'm in. So the rest is history. I went up there and Coach Dye offered me a scholarship. And I coached with him for about 10 years and loving life now, and I'm glad to be here.
Wayne, were you recruited by anybody else? Did you have any other offers coming out of high school?
Citadel was the only offer I had. Bobby Ross, who won the national championship at Georgia Tech, was at San Diego Chargers. He was a head coach, and so they had offered me a scholarship, and thank goodness Coach Dye come around, guys.
You don't think you were Citadel material?
And it was good.
That's a complete turnaround from culture right there, from the military to ECU. Jeez.
Now, Terry, you remember Josh Smith, who played defensive line in the Skip Holtz era, and then the first year under Coach Ruff. Josh Smith initially went to Navy, and he wasn't cut out for that military life. So I guess Coach Bolt, maybe you were Josh Smith 30 years before Josh Smith.
Yeah. Hey, I'd have made it work either way, but you never know.
Well, we wound up playing the Citadel, and I'm gonna tell you that at that point in time, not only was Bobby Ross the coach, they had Ralph Friedgen as the offensive coordinator, and Frank Beamer was the defense coordinator. So
that's a hell of a staff.
And they had some real players at that point in time, and we had to go down there. And in fact, I believe it was what was it, Wayne, 75, when we went to Citadel and won 3-0.
That's right. It was about an 8-hour bus ride.
I'm telling you, that was the longest bus ride back then to get from Greenville to the Citadel, going down through Wilmington. I'm gonna tell you,
17,
it took forever.
How was I-95 back then, guys? It seems like 95 should have been up and running. Why y'all just hop on in today?
No, 95 didn't. It didn't connect all the way down. 301.
What are y'all talking about? Y'all talking about highways or what?
Yeah, we don't got to talk about that.
Okay, all right.
We lost you there a minute. But anyway, get back to Citadel. We had Jimmy Sutherland wound up being the quarterback in that game because Mike Weaver got left because he was sick, and then Pete Conady got his collarbone broken. And
we were fortunate to win.
And they ran that 6-man front. That they were pretty good. But anyway, they were pretty good.
Wayne, tell us about your relationship with Pat Dye. After playing for him, you coached with him for several years. Did you forge a strong relationship with him during your playing days, or did the relationship?
I think it was both. I was a GA. I had to finish up my degree, so Coach Dye let me be a GA to finish my degree, and then I was fortunate enough he offered me a job to go to Wyoming with him, and then he brought me to Auburn, and the rest is history. But yeah, it was a long relationship, and it ended up being really, really good. Matter of fact, I'm going on Coach Dye's show tomorrow morning. Me and Larry Blakeney, who I was with Larry for 15 years at Troy, and we're gonna go be on Coach Dye's show in the morning. But But I like to get him on this show because he does a great job.
What's Coach Blakeney up to now since he retired from Troy?
Say that again.
What's Coach Blakeney doing now since he retired from Troy?
He's retired, and just me and him, we eat lunch about once a week, and talk about old times and playing golf and enjoying life.
He did a hell of a job transitioning that program from FCS to the Sun Belt Conference.
No question. And we were, he hired me in 1990, and we went through that transition, and we ended up he ended up doing a great job recruiting, and we were all just sort of on the ride with him, but yeah, we got some good players in there, and went on and won some championships.
Yep.
So, Coach Bold, back in the early to mid '80s when you were at Auburn, can you give us an idea? Tell our listeners what it was like to be on the Flames during those years. And
it was, and that's I get that question asked a lot, and we went there, and we had to change the culture, and of course Coach Dye, he didn't care about all that. He was going to do his own culture, and we just had a bunch of young coaches and went to work and did that, and then recruited some really good players, and we won a lot of games, and so we were very, very fortunate.
Coach,
guys.
Coach, what years were you at UAB? I remember you being at UAB in East Carolina playing the Blazers.
Yeah, I was at UAB. Let's see. Oh Lord, 02, 03, 04, right in there. Yeah, I left in 02, and then I went to Birmingham for a couple of years.
Okay, so you got to play us during the John Thompson era. So you beat us a couple times.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, we. It was a good rivalry. I mean, of course, anytime you play your alma mater, you're always excited about seeing old friends, and of course, when you're playing, you're going against each other. But it's always good to see friends and family and the whole day.
Is Watson out of coaching now?
Watson Brown is retired. He was a head coach. He retired in his hometown, Tennessee Tech. Wherever Tennessee Tech is, I'm not sure.
Cookville. Wayne, Tennessee Tech's actually in Cookville, Tennessee. So that's where Watson's retired at. They're in they're kind of East Central Tennessee.
He did a great job at UAB, and things happened in coaching and went around, and I really enjoyed working for Watson.
Yeah, he was our quarterback coach at East Carolina. I guess our first 2, maybe 3 years. Before Elkin came in. But
we had Roddy White, and we had a gunslinger at quarterback, Daryl Hackney.
Right.
Yep, Daryl Hackney, gunslinger.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Hackney is a player.
Yep, he was a good kid too. He was a good kid.
Now at Troy, you had the big defensive end that went to the Cowboys, didn't you?
Yeah, DeMarcus Ware. Yeah.
DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah. DeMarcus Ware and OCU when you played with the Giants, won the Super Bowl. We had those kids. They went to Auburn High. Nobody recruited them, and we just sort of went in there. And Tracy Rock, matter of fact, we had just hired Tracy, and Tracy Rocker went in there and signed them, and ended up being great players for us. And in the league, made a lot of money.
And what was Jean Pierre Paul or whatever?
I didn't have him. No, I was gone.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if he was during that time too or what. But some great athletes, and see that you don't always the great ones aren't always at the SEC schools and stuff like that. People get the wrong impression about the quality of football in the Division I league.
But there's so many. There's the scholarships have gone down so far that everybody's got good players.
Particularly at the skill positions. Yeah.
I mean, even of course, hot defensive linemen are hot, but there's good defensive linemen at East Carolina and Troy. I mean, that that go on and have a chance to play in the league, and everybody's recruiting, all over the country now. So it's a good little grind.
Now, and Coach, talking about your time at UAB, I believe it was 2000 where you guys went down to LSU and won. Was that right? It was somewhere in there.
I was not at UAB then, and I was at Florida. But yes, UAB went down and beat LSU. Great win for them. When I was at UAB, we went over to Starkville, and we beat Mississippi State. And
Sylvester Croom, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great win. It was a great
all
win.
those all the cowbells. I mean not the cowbells.
That's it, cowboys.
Yeah, cowbells. Yeah.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about being around the UAB program and knowing the folks there and the alums and all that. What was it like from being that you were an insider there when they canceled, they shut down the program, and then of course Coach Bill Clark has done a nice job of rebuilding the program and bringing it back?
He really has. You know, when they, it surprised me a little bit because you know everybody's got money problems, but you know they made a decision to shut down the program, and they were doing good, and they were competing, and then when they reopened it, and of course Bill Clark has done I can remember Bill Clark was the defensive coordinator at Dothan High when I was at Troy, and he's done a great job through the ranks of coordinator, head coach, high school, the whole thing, and he's gone in there, and I've got a lot of respect for Bill.
When you really look at that, them shutting down their program and then bringing it back, and Bill staying on, and then bringing it back, and their first year back winning 10 games or whatever it was. They should make a damn movie about that.
Coach, I'm telling you. I mean, he has done a great job, and he's a great football coach, and he's got a lot. I got a lot of friends on that staff, and they'll be good.
I'm surprised, honestly, that he hasn't got a SEC offer.
Well, hey, good Lord works in mysterious ways. You never know.
Coach, when we actually had a short list, not that we really matter, but we had a short list of coaches for the coaching job here. Of course, we got the coach we wanted, Mike Houston, but he was Bill Clark in our eyes was in the mix for taking over the program at East Carolina.
Right. Coach Houston was a great hire, and Bill would have done a great job. And I'm just glad we got who we got. And he from what I understand, he's doing a super job. And I look forward to come up there. I come up there about twice a year, and love the pot. Yeah,
I'm sure Terry let you know that as the Independence Bowl party to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Independence Bowl win, Coach Mike Houston stopped in at our little podcast party we were having, and spoke on the phone with Pat Dye. That was the first time they had spoke, and then addressed a bunch of the former players, and it went over real well.
Oh, that sounds great. He's a class man. I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Coach Dye, it sounded like he was interviewing him. He was. Coach Dye was asking him, well, what's your background in coaching and all, Coach Dye.
I tell you one thing, and me and Terry know this. Coach Dye don't want the best. He wants the best for East Carolina. He's got great memories.
He always says that was that couldn't have been a better spot to have been at that time. What we were
Terry, one of the things that stuck out with one of the first times we had you on was the fact that you have a great chancellor like Leo Jenkins. What does he do? He needs a football coach. So he goes to Bear Bryant. He goes to Alabama, where we had a previous coach that previous chancellor and AD that went to Duke for a football coach. So.
That's the vision. That's the difference in vision right there.
Absolutely.
Who would ever think that an Alabama coach would come to East Carolina? And in fact, what was it? Bolt, the story about Frank going to the wrong town.
Yeah. But they found their way. They found their way back to East Carolina.
But Coach Orville had gone to East Carolina before Coach Dow, because Coach Dow was finishing at Alabama. And he told Frank going up and go up there to Greenville and get things going. And Coach,
he went to Greenville, South Carolina.
He went to Greenville, South Carolina.
People are still making that mistake to this day, Terry.
And he couldn't understand East Carolina. Why is it in the western part of the state? But
Coach Bolt, something else. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Terry.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
I was going to say, in addition to Larry Blakeney, and Pat Dye, you also had the opportunity to coach with Danny Ford. And so tell us a little bit about your time with Coach Ford. I know he was quite a character.
So him and, Danny Ford and Coach, he comes from the Bear Bryant tree, just like Coach Dye did. And I swear it was almost like just going from, instead of I was coaching at Auburn, I went to Auburn on the Lake. So Danny Ford and Pat Dye were so, similar. Play good defense, recruit the devil, and run the ball on offense, just like Coach Bryant used to do it. And we were very, very successful. But he was a great man to work for, had a great family, had a great staff, and I'm still friends with him to this day. I try to go over to Clemson once a year.
Bobby, you said you had a story you were going to ask him about somebody keeping change. Okay.
Where's Bubba go? Yeah, tell him, Coach, wasn't Coach Chizik on the staff up there?
Coach Chizik was a GA, sure was.
Yeah, and he sent him to tell the story about him going to get biscuits.
Yeah, I'd give him some money to go get some biscuits, and he'd come back, and I said, okay, where's my change? He said, Coach, I ain't got no gas in the car. So he's keeping the change for the biscuits. I said, okay, no problem. Go ahead, cuz.
You had to pay him a little gas money to go pick up the biscuits.
Oh yeah, but that was good. I was a GA for many years, and they always took care of me. So we made it work.
Lord mercy.
You coached with Coach Chizik. Did you coach Coach Chizik at Auburn? I remember you being on the staff at Iowa State.
Yes, I was the defense. Me and Chiz he lived with me when he came to Clemson, and we were all GAs together or whatever we were back then. But yeah, he hired me. Me and him were friends throughout the years to coaching, and he hired me as the defensive coordinator out at Iowa State. And then we came to Auburn, and of course my wife was born and raised in Auburn, where I met her when I was there. And so we were so excited to come back to Auburn, and it was a good run. It was a good run.
You got a national championship ring out of it.
Got 3 of them.
Yeah.
They gave me, every time you win a national championship, they gave you 3. I don't know why, but I got 3 in the trophy case in there.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Guys, Coach Bolt said that he was going to get Cam Newton on the podcast.
I'm not. I'll say this. I'm calling Cam's agent. I'm calling Cam.
Hey, look. Do you want?
I ain't calling the agent. I got Cam's number.
Can you get us Cam and also Bo Jackson while you're at it?
I don't know, Coach. Bo don't go for nothing under $25,000.
Oh, well,
no, I'm just teasing. I'm just kidding. Hey, you know what? If you never try, you never get it, right?
Exactly.
Well, he ain't going to get it from us.
But that's, hey, if they say no, they say no.
That's right.
Not a problem. We'll just move on.
That's right. Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
He's one of my all-time favorite football players growing up. I've never seen anyone that could dominate the game like him.
No question. He was something now. He was, and a great kid.
A man among boys.
And he had some issues, but we all do. And he overcame them. And I tell you what, he's making a lot of money now.
What I was starting to say is, now obviously it would have been more Bo Jackson, more so, but Frank Thomas and also Charles Barkley were at Auburn during your years, if I'm not mistaken. So did you cross paths with those guys at all and get to know them?
I did. I helped recruit Frank. Frank was a tight end. I was coaching tight ends at the time, and Frank was a tight end to Columbus, Georgia. He was going to Georgia, and then he came to Auburn and loved it, and his family loved it. And Frank, there ain't many people can say they know a Hall of Famer. I mean, baseball Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Frank Thomas is a baseball Hall of Famer and the greatest person in the world. And
Frank Thomas, just to sidebar his baseball career there, it always bothers me looking back during that era in the 90s. Guys like Frank Thomas and Ken Griffey Jr. were really the home run kings back then. And, you know, they got overshadowed by guys that were using the juice. And while Frank Thomas and Ken Griffey Jr., at least it was never known that they were using. And it really pisses me off that they kind of got overshadowed by McGuire and Bonds. And
hey, that happens. But you know what? A great story about Frank was Coach Dye told Frank, he said, you know, you're a real good. You want to play both sports, baseball and football. Coach Dye said, no problem. Just so you play in baseball, no problem. And he said, you know, you're going to be a pro tight end. And you know, the rest is history. I mean, he's in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and that's awesome. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
That I tell you, that SEC story they did on the three of them and at Auburn back in the mid '80s, that was tremendous.
It really was, and it was all true. All of it was they were all tight, and they're still tight, and they still come back to this day. And of course, Bo lives here half the time, but yeah, it's good to see them all good together.
Guys, I don't know how we're all on the line here and it suddenly got quiet. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, we're listening to greatness. You know, when you have Terry Gallaher and Wayne Bolt, you don't want to interrupt them.
No, I'm just listening.
So you're not greatness,
Terry. Have you got any stories on Wayne when he was here?
Oh, hey, ain't too many we can put out here.
Come on, you got to do it in modern day social media. There's no social media back in your day. So can you tell us? Can you give us any dirt?
Well, I could, but I'd probably have to.
We'll turn the tables. Wayne, you got any dirt? You got any dirt on Terry?
Yeah, I got some dirt on him. The thing about Terry was, you know, a lot of folks don't understand. He's probably one of the fastest receivers I've ever been around, and I'm talking about. I've been around some dang good ones that played in the league. You know, a lot of folks don't understand. Terry won the high hurdles in high school and came to East Carolina and set all kind of records. But you know the thing about it.
Wait a minute, Terry won the high hurdles in high school?
Yes.
That's impressive at his height.
I'm talking about the state high hurdles, the state coach, and that hurdle was taller than him.
Wow.
That's right. But anyway, he did that, and it was a great athlete. And you know, if he'd been playing today, he'd have 120 catches a game.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. Terry's always told us he's a wide guard.
He was, but when they threw it, he's gonna catch it.
Terry, does Snead, the little wide receiver from East Carolina, remind you of you at all?
We'll have to wait and see in another year or two.
Okay, he looked pretty good as a true freshman, little small kid.
I don't know now, and I'm just talking now. This is just him talking. But
he's not as tall as Terry.
I was pretty fast now. And the thing about me is and this is something, Watson Brown was our quarterback coach, but he one time took me aside and talked to me about controlling my speed. Because I used to die. I mean, I used to just absolutely give out. And I played too hard, too fast. And I learned how to control the speed so that when they did throw the ball, you always wanted to look like you're going 100 miles an hour. But you didn't have to necessarily be doing that. So that way, when you needed it, they call it a burst. You have that little extra burst to go get the ball. And it separates, and that's what separates you from the defender. And that I had. I don't have it. I've still got a pretty good first step today, but after that it's a little bit different. But now,
is that with a scooter?
Yeah. He's being honest. Hey, he's being honest now, man. He's being honest.
Now, Wayne, you look at him. When we first saw him, we thought, "Oh my God, what's this guy doing up here?" You know. And we always knew that he was Coach Dow's boy because he came from Richmond Academy. Right off the bat, we knew Coach Dow was going. That's his boy right there. So, but Wayne, when you put him on the football field, you would not believe the difference in the way he moved and compared to the way he looked when he got off the field. There's some players they call coach killers. And Wayne wasn't one of them. Those coach killers is the one that you see them, walking up and down the sideline, and you're going, man, these guys ought to win. Look at all these guys they got. But you see Wayne, and you weren't probably going to be saying that. But Wayne was a 4-year starter, and second team All-American your senior year, first senior year.
Good. Yeah, whatever.
He was pretty good now. And our offense, it suited. Of course, the whole thing we did was with wishbone is it gave you an opportunity to be successful because we weren't blocking everybody. And the way we executed with the offensive line we had, it's pretty good now to go back and watch some of those films just to see the difference in the way offensive line play is between now and back then. Talk about receiving. Well, shoot, offensive linemen don't come off the ball like they did back then. What was 4 point? Were you in a 4-point stance or 3 point?
Yeah, no, I was a 4-point stance.
That's what it's
All right.
I didn't know no difference.
Go ahead.
I had a sidebar question. I was talking to a gentleman that's a retired ECU professor that came here in 1973, Dr. Paul Cheddar. He's a fan of the podcast and loves all of us, including you, Terry. But anyway, we were talking about old restaurants. What restaurants did y'all go to back in your time here at East Carolina? He and I reminisced last night for about an hour or two talking about old restaurants.
Banners.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet potato biscuit.
Ooh, yes, sir.
Oh, and DW's. If it was late at night after going downtown, there was DW's across the river.
Okay.
That's funny, Terry. Yeah, I remember my dad telling me all about DW's and Venner's Grill. That's what he said. You would go to DW's. He said I think they had about a C rating. He said you could get a smoked sausage and a quart of oil over the same counter.
What we'd do is take our cars in and get them lubed while they were cooking. Yeah.
You were talking about Venner's. Unfortunately, Hurricane Floyd in '99 pretty much, because of that area is a low-lying area, pretty much killed that business, unfortunately. But, man, they had some outstanding food. I miss Venner's Grill.
I hate that, but they were really good.
And it's funny you bring that up, Dave, because I remember, I guess in the year or so after that, we were in Greenville. It may have even been for a basketball game or something, but we drove across the river just looking at the damage, and my dad took me to show me where Venner's had been, and he actually got he was talking about the sweet potato biscuits that you guys referenced, and he got a rolling pin that they would have made those with.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
So he got that for his Eastern North Carolina archives.
Guys, if you ever craving a sweet potato biscuit, you're in Eastern North Carolina, there's a little gas station. The name escapes me now, but there's a little gas station in Snow Hill that makes sweet potato biscuits, and they're delicious.
Well,
oh my God. Also,
and Wayne, when guys like us from Georgia and all, we didn't always go home during the holidays or when there were breaks. So the training table was down, and there was a little place called the Crow's Nest.
Oh yeah, that was in the corner of 10th Street and Charles, right?
Right. And they were pretty good. They take care of us, wouldn't they, Wayne?
That's right. They were good.
Yeah. How about we were talking about this is probably pre. I know they were big in the late 70s, early 80s. What about one of my favorite restaurants and another unfortunate low-lying area that right there on 10th Street, Hurricane Floyd knocked this business out, Daryl's, the restaurant. Did you guys have that at that time? We always hear that's probably.
It had some good ribs there.
But that cost too much for us.
Yeah, Daryl's is famous for Sandra Bullock was a waitress at Daryl's in the 80s.
Yes, she
was.
was.
East Carolina.
And also Hank's Homemade Ice Cream as well, guys. She worked there. That was back in her days when she was known as Sandy, and now that she's in Hollywood as Sandra.
Correct.
Anyway.
Did you guys there? I know she was a little after your time, but she is pitching a show right now to be made about her time at East Carolina.
That's good. Oh, that'd be a good deal.
Yeah.
Give us some publicity.
Exactly.
What about? I want to ask you guys about the very town you were talking about, downtown Fifth Street. You guys, I think I came at the end of the era, but man, when you talk about Terry, we've got to get him on. I'm a huge fan of Joe. But we got to get as far as the attic. There's a lot of great places, elbow room. I would support. I don't know that was after the time, but the sports pad was there. Wrong Way Corrigan's, Pantana Bob's.
Was the attic now, Terry? Was the attic open when you guys were here, or was that after?
No, they were up.
Toronto.
Yeah, we went through a couple of different places for the attic.
Right.
Okay. Now, what shows did you guys catch when you were in the attic? Any good bands at the time when you guys were at East Carolina that came through?
Well, there was a couple of bands from here where I live that were Southern rock bands that had signed with it's called Capricorn Records back then, and they're the ones that Allman Brothers and all the Southern rock bands, Marshall Tucker and all them recorded for, and a band called Stillwater. And they were some guys that I knew from my high school days, and one of them had been a quarterback on our football team. And when they would come through up there, this is why it took me almost 7 years to graduate. But they'd come through, and me and some buddies would take off and go around North Carolina and Virginia and go to their shows with them. And we were like groupies for them. But
I'm sure they'd love to hear that you were groupie. That you were a groupie.
Hey, it was something.
You're the ugliest groupie in the history of rock and roll.
It's amazing. And then of course they would play with bigger bands, but the attic had all kinds of people back then. Delbert McClinton would play there. He'd play on Sunday night, 50 Cent. A band from D.C. called the Nighthawks.
Yeah.
And
you guys remember Nantucket?
Well, they were, Nantucket.
Sidewinder.
There was there was a band from Greenville called Pegasus that played there a lot. Then the guy that played for Leonard Skinner was from Greenville. One of the guitars, Ed King, I think his name was.
Greenville? I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was Tom Haynes, Skinner, and Joe. And it was just different back then. People helped each other. We got along. We didn't have, there wasn't issues like there are today, and there wasn't social media. I don't know that we could have come through social media days. What do you think, Wayne?
No question.
Wayne, when did you get out of coaching?
3 years ago. 3 years ago, Larry Blakeney retired, and so I was down here in Troy, and I could have gone. We could have had another job, and I told my wife, I said, let's go take it one more time. We ain't never been up there, and she goes, please take me home. So we came to Auburn, and I built our house on the golf course, and it's been a great run. I've been retired 3 years now, and loving life, and got a great group of guys here in Auburn, and get a chance to go see Auburn. My wife was she ran the ticket office, and at Auburn when we were here back in the 80s, and so we go to all the games, and we have a blast.
How much did recruiting change from the time you started coaching in the 80s up until 3 or 4 years ago when you retired at Troy. I would imagine it changed quite a bit.
Much. You know, it's now you recruit ninth graders, and we when I was coming through, we recruited 10th and 11th graders. Now they're recruiting ninth graders. And they got more people. You know, they have a better staff, more people just to help them, and that's what they do. And but it's you know, it's a business, big business, and there's a lot of great football around this, you know, part of the South, and you know, up there in North Carolina, and you know, I think our new coach can bring us back.
Yeah, I think so. I think Mike Houston will do a great job.
Now, Coach, I know the other night when we were setting up this interview, or trying to set up the interview, I know you told me, obviously, Coach Dye has a farm there in Auburn, or right outside of Auburn. So didn't you get some Japanese maple trees from Coach?
That's right. Yep. Yeah. Long story short, my wife wanted one Japanese maple for the house. Long story short, I got 15 around my all around my lot right here, and Coach Dye came and got them planted. And I'm going, Coach, I just wanted one. He said, shut up. He said, this is what you need. Yeah, I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's famous for those Japanese maples. He's been in magazines and everything.
Yeah, he raises them and does, you know, he does.
Now, forgive my ignorance. What is a Japanese maple tree?
It's a tree. It's a pretty tree, little tree. It grows up. It can be orange, red. You know, it blooms in the fall, and it's a beautiful tree.
Okay.
It won't grow up there around LaGrange out there in that sand dirt.
I don't know, Coach. I don't know. I got 15 of them around here. They're everywhere.
Oh Lord.
Now, Coach, down through the years, out of all the road trips that you made, be it the SEC venues or maybe some in the Big 12 while you were at Iowa State, what are some of the top road venues you had the opportunity to play in? Maybe like the loudest stadium or two.
Believe it or not, I'm gonna tell you two of them. Number one, when I was at Troy, we played University of Montana. They had 12,000 people in a little bowl. And I was coaching offensive line back in, and the offensive guard could not hear the snap count. And the second one is down there in Florida. We was playing with Emmitt Smith and all them. They were down there, and you couldn't hear yourself think. I mean, it was rocking. And Auburn's loud. Of course, LSU's loud. Alabama's loud. I mean, but those two stick out when I tell them out there, and when I was at Troy, they go, "You're crazy." I said, "I'm just telling you."
It's funny you say that about Missoula, Montana, because that's what some very close friends of ours are big App State fans, and they went out there at least once, maybe twice for App State games, and they were talking about what a tremendous venue that is, Washington Grizzly Stadium at Montana.
Oh, it is unbelievable now, and it's loud. When they got the ball, you can't hear nothing. When we got the ball, they rolled it.
Huh. And a guy that I grew up with that played quarterback, he was a starting quarterback at App State in the late 90s and early 2000s, Joe Burchett. He was talking about the playoff game they had out there in the snow. He said, you know, it's right there in the teens or maybe colder and snowing, and the guy in the first row of the bleachers right behind the bench is giving him absolute crap, and he said he was drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon out of a can.
And I don't blame it. All the people behind our bench, they weren't nobody under 70. They were all over 70, and they were customers. But I tell you what, they love their football out there now. They love it. They love it.
You know, they had the opportunity in the dying days of the WAC when they were trying to save that conference. They had the opportunity to move up to FBS and decided against it. I probably made a smart decision that this, you know, recruiting FBS to Missoula, Montana probably wouldn't be that easy.
It's yeah, I would think it'd be tough, but they did a great job at it where they're at, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of like North Dakota State. It'd be interesting to see those guys, the way they've knocked off Minnesota and Kansas State and different ones down through the years.
Oh, no question. I mean, there's players everywhere.
Coach, I had one question for you too, being that your defensive mind and all that. One of the things that's bothered me is, as far as officiating is concerned, is with the targeting call. Can you talk a little bit about that, being from the old school when playing? And
Sure.
I know you're a modern day coach.
I think yes. I think it's a great concept because I mean them wideouts have been getting killed for years and it's tough. It is a tough rule. And I was into the targeting rule the last about 2 or 3 years. And you just got to coach them. And it's safety. I mean, if we can't play with safety, and this is a violent game now. This is a violent game. They're trying to break each other. I mean, you know, but when you got somebody laid out there and you got a chance to plant them, and it's mostly, you know, with safeties coming on inside routes by wideouts. You know, there's some around, but, you know, I think it's a great rule, and I think it needs to be kept going. And, hey, if the referees make a bad decision and they said they're taking care of the kid, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Take care of the players.
Yeah, and they continue to tweak it with the reviews. You know, at first it was pretty much if you commit the penalty. At first, one of the things that was stupid about it, when they reviewed it, if it was determined it wasn't targeting, the player wasn't kicked out of the game, but the penalty still stood, which made absolutely no sense. And
I agree with that.
They've corrected that. So I think
they made a good decision because they didn't know what they were doing at the beginning.
Exactly. So they'll continue to tweak it. Something did need to be done with all the concussions with CTE. Something needs to be done, and I don't ever want to see football get to the point where, you know, I've seen people talking about doing away with kickoffs. I don't ever want to see something like that happen.
Well, they're trying to get, you know, safety, and, you know, that's why them guys making them $10 million, $20 million a year, that's why they get paid that money to make them decisions. And if they don't make it, we just drill them, you know. But, you know, it's a tough call, and it's a brutal game, and it was when me and Terry were playing, and they're getting bigger, faster, stronger now. All kids they're lifting weights in junior high school. I never lifted weights till I was a senior in high school. And, you know, I mean, it's gotten to where it's tough, and whatever it is, take care of the player. I mean, whatever penalties you want to go, don't throw the kid out. I mean, I disagree with that. I mean, give him a big penalty and make him sit out a quarter or something. But, you know, I don't know. That's just my opinion.
That's my biggest thing, Coach, is I mean, you know, you've seen firsthand and you did it yourself, how hard these guys work year-round to have an entire game, and in some cases maybe like a game and a half or more taken away because of something that wasn't blatant. It's not right.
That's right. Well, that's true. Just try to take care of the players and make a decision, and, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, as far as the another controversial thing that bothers me, the playoff system, how do you feel about that? Should we expand to 18?
Oh, that's a great question.
I'll go get
I think we need 8. Now, that's probably too many, but if you get the top 8 in there, number 8 can beat number 1. You can bank it.
Yep.
One thing we talked about, Coach, that annoys us being East Carolina fans is the whole Power 5, Group of 5 crap.
Agreed.
You know, what I'd like to see, when you mentioned 8, and maybe you feel different, I'd love to see the 5 so-called Power 5 conference champions get automatic bids.
Put someone else in.
And then put the highest-ranked school from the Group of 5 gets an automatic spot.
Hell no, Coach. I'm going to top 2.
Top 2. All right.
Top 2.
Hey, I like it. Hey, I love it.
I mean, let's get 6. 6 is good. And let's get the 2 top, you know, players in our league. And let's go to work and see what we can do.
Okay. That's 8 will work.
I disagree with you. You could, but That's just the way I feel.
No, that's fine. That's two. You want to do the 5 conference champions from the Power 5, and then the 2 from the Group of 5, and then
get your wild card. Notre Dame's in. You know how Notre Dame is.
You're not getting any disagreement from me.
Not at
2
all.
from the Group of 5 is even better. I was being conservative.
Well, that's just the way I feel.
No, I agree with you 100%.
I grew in that football, and there's a bunch of good teams. I mean, good.
And then you get the opportunity to really grow the programs. If an East Carolina truly now has a shot at making the playoffs, think of what we could do in recruiting.
Coach, recruiting's the bottom line. If you can get in that top 2 in recruiting, okay, then here we go. But yeah,
one thing Coach, one thing that upsets me is the fact that you guys played on, obviously a great era, a great coach. I'm a huge fan of Pat Dye. But the thing that's terrible about this whole system right now, East Carolina can have a miracle season, just like look at UCF the last 2 years.
Correct.
They should have been in the playoffs. Maybe they'd be at number 6 or 7 or whatever it is. They'd be towards the bottom. That's fine. But they should have a shot to compete for the national championship, winning 25 in a row.
Totally agree. And I'm in. Me and you are in.
Yeah.
And
everybody on this podcast.
I've been in the SEC. I've played at East Carolina. I've been in the Big 12. Been in the ACC. I've been in the SEC. And let some of the we ain't little. Let's let some of the littler guys have a chance to go to your ass because they don't want none. I'm telling you.
You're right about that.
It's
the press would kill them, but it happened before.
Well, the more teams you put in there, though, you're starting to divide the money up.
But it's not that. It's not like it's 20 teams, though, Terry. It's only 8.
Well, but they don't want.
They don't want to give us money. Terry's right. Right. But I mean, what's the difference?
The SEC, you guys could make more money.
All them Notre Dame, they make $100 million a year.
That's branding, and that's branding. Yes.
The problem is North Carolina and NC State.
There
all
you
of a sudden,
there you go.
East Carolina's exactly the same, and that's where the problem comes.
And we don't whoop their butts, and they don't want none. I'm telling you, they don't want none.
The mediocre Power 5, lower tier Power 5. That's what's keeping those of us like East Carolina, UCF of the world. Kyle, you've said it a few times. You hit the nail. Yes, you're right about that.
Yeah, Mississippi State and Ole Miss don't want Southern Miss to have a chance to go to playoffs.
That's correct. That's correct. I mean, we've been fighting it forever, and I hope we don't have to fight it much more. Whatever hand we're dealt, let's go win some games and let's have a good time and fill up that darn stadium.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, are y'all praying right now, or what? I'll tell you what I'm praying for, Coach, is an absolute great season. I've said on this podcast, I think our Pirates are going to go 7-5. I'm not saying it's a miracle season, but considering what we've been through the last 3 years with our Pirates, I think before we let you go, I think we're going to see Mike Houston turn this team around. And I've said it right here on this podcast. You give this guy with the recruiting day after day after day, the recruiting job this coaching staff's doing, you give this guy 4 years, we're going to be most definitely in the Year 6 Bowl. And I never thought I'd ever say that, especially after the last 3 years.
That's right. Back where we were, and that's our goal.
Yep. So we're going to do that. Do you guys have any final questions for Coach?
No, just thank you for coming on, Coach Bolt. It was a great talk.
Thank y'all for having me, and Terry, it's good to hear you again, and I look forward to getting with y'all again anytime. Just call us down here in Auburn, Alabama.
All right, love to have you up here for a game sometime soon, especially under the Houston area. We'd love to have you.
I'll be there, brother.
All right. Appreciate you. Hope you have a great night.
Go Pirates. Go Pirates.
Wow, what a legend there, guys. I tell you what, Terry, he's very special. And what's great about you guys, and I told you this, Terry, I'm so glad that we had you on the podcast. We got to know you very well. But before, when I was here in the 90s as a student, you'd hear people talk about Pat Dye. You'd hear people just briefly mention it. And if it hadn't been for you pushing hard for the our podcast party and to honor the team. He's another great example of a guy that during the Pat Dye era that again that we need to know more about.
Oh yeah, and again, it's nothing against. It's just the way things are in terms of communication and that type of stuff. And the biggest thing is it's like anything in the world until people make a noise about something, nobody knows it's there a lot of times. And it's not because of any intentional thing or anything like that, but East Carolina has sort of had disjointed years, so to speak, and for us to, you got to recognize your history in order to, create that tradition and so forth that you want to have. And there was no doubt about it. When we stepped on the field, we felt like we could compete with anybody we played.
Absolutely.
Right.
I ain't gonna say we could beat them, but I guarantee you they were gonna have to beat us. So that was
It's like with Dominique. It's funny you were talking about that, Terry, but when we had Dominique Lindsay on for 50 for 50, Pirates 50 days, and it's funny how it doesn't matter what era you come from in Pirate, this particular case, Pirate football. The guys in the late, about a decade ago, up to the 70s, up to the 83 team, you talk to the Peach Bowl team, the different eras,
right.
Liberty Bowl teams, they're all talking about how when they went on that field, it's funny that you said that because there's a common theme that represents Pirate football, and that is, you know what, they may not like us, they may not respect us, they may think that we don't deserve to have all these scholarship offers, blah, blah, blah. But we get on that field, we have a chip on our shoulder. We don't talk about it like a certain coach said. We don't talk about it. There's an understood chip on our shoulder, and we're going to beat those guys. If it's the ACC, if it's a Big Ten, SEC, we're going to beat them.
Right. Well, there's a whole different, I can look at the demeanor of the team. I don't have to watch them actually on the field. I can watch them how they conduct themselves on the sideline during a game. I'm talking about how they take the field, how they come on the field, how they go off the field. You can just look at the demeanor of the team, and you can determine a lot about how things are going just by watching that. And it's really fun. I was the other day. Had gone to Kroger, local shop, grocery store here. It's amazing. I had two different people stop me during that time and talk about East Carolina football. Now, that has not happened in a while because I'm always waving the Pirate flag, and there for a while I was embarrassed to wave, and I really didn't want to talk about Pirate football with people, because I knew where the conversation was going to get.
Right.
So
Right.
it's really nice to be able to once again kind of puff that chest up a little bit and get that pirate walk going and be proud of our team and what we're doing, because that's to me there's nothing like pirate passion, and I'm just glad to have it back myself.
And Pirate pride, Kyle and Bubba, when you look at this program going all the way back to 1932, unfortunately we won't be able to interview anybody from that, the coaches or players back then. But Terry, but I tell you what, one thing, what's amazing to me is when you were not anywhere near Greenville, North Carolina, when you said that, I was on a cruise ship, by the way, guys, in 2012, and a whole bunch of people started yelling, "Go Pirates," and they smiled and waved at me. They were big Pirate fans from, I don't know where they were, if they were from Georgia, South Carolina, whatever, but I've been overseas wearing ECU stuff. People stopped me and said, "Go Pirates." It's just funny how you can be around the world and people, except for Africa. Africa was the only place I've been that I get stopped. But other than that, people in Turkey and all over the place have been always, go Pirates. So that's what's funny about.
Well, I haven't been a world traveler like you, Dave, but I was in Baltimore one time, and people said go Pirates. So how about that?
There you go. Hey, well, that's north of the Mason-Dixon, so right, Terry? So that's in a different world, right?
Actually, it's not north of the Mason.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Maryland is that's right.
They don't know that anymore.
Me being geography teacher that I was, I was correct.
They're not southern. They're not southern. They're not southern.
It's a border. It's a border state. It's a border state.
Yeah, they're not southern in Maryland.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm excited about Pirate football. I'm excited about football season. Period. I'm excited about our cruise. Terry, have we convinced you yet to come on the Sports Objective Pirate cruise? Dana is, by the way, folks, taking. She's actually going for the deposits. Are you ready?
I'm having trouble hearing you. I'm sorry.
If my cell phone is not that bad. No, I don't have the Sports Illustrated phone. I can promise you that.
Terry's scared of the water. I've never seen a pirate that was scared of the water.
We're going to have an absolute, as much as we love you, Terry, we're going to have an absolute great time. We're going to take very good care of you and your wife. We're going to have an absolute ball. And you've been with us every step of the way.
We got to talk to the missus. She'll probably be able to convince Terry.
Oh, yeah. He's going to keep her away from the phone. She's usually close by, but he's going to make sure that she's in Wilmington.
And look, you guys are going back and forth right now from Warner Robins to Wilmington a lot. I believe Charleston, that's right there in between.
There you go. That's a detour.
I was looking at that money tree in our backyard recently, and it ain't looking too good.
Hey, Terry, it's pretty reasonable, man. It's pretty reasonable. You can get room for as low as around $700 per person, and you can make payments on it. You make your deposit now, just have it paid off by the spring, so that's not an excuse.
And by the way, I got a special deal for Terry Gallaher and everybody listening right now. Dana told me the other day, and I forgot to tell Bubba and Kyle, so I'll say that on the podcast. You can call Dana right now at 919-830-4161. I believe I'll double check on that. But she actually says that you can put $25 down per person and be a part of the Sports Objective group. And then when you have the money for the rest of the deposit, it will go towards the deposit, and at least you save your space with our group. So you can't beat that. So that would be $50 is all you need right now. So that tree that you're talking about, the money tree, just put some water on it. You'll get some more money in the meantime. Just get $50.
Well, we'll have to, like I said, we're still working on that. So this is a definite maybe.
All right. All right, guys, you ready to wrap things up?
Good time. Yeah, I am. This is good time.
Let's wrap it up then.
Wayne and I, of course, it's only a couple of hours. It's actually closer for me to drive to Auburn than it is to University of Georgia. But it's always good going over there. And, of course, Coach Orgel, he's not as well as he has been. He has bad days more than he has good days now. But, he was the one who recruited both me and Wayne up to East Carolina. So I can't say enough good about them all. So anyway, it's good to have a little conversation with Wayne.
Absolutely, and we give Coach Orgel our best. We enjoy talking to him back in December, and we're thinking about him and praying for him.
Yes, sir. So keep it going out there.
All right.
I
guess we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I want to thank Bubba Rosenbaum, who is on assignment at his baseball game. Coach Wayne Bolt, what a treat. Terry Gallaher told us about him, and he would be awesome. He was. And obviously our guest co-host, Terry Gallaher, he's very special to us. Terry, appreciate you, man, for everything that you've done for us. And I know you said that all the time about us, but you actually have fired us up as well about Pirate football with all the history, and certainly during the down times. The good news is that we're done with that. That it's like a storm of life. We've survived that storm, and now it's good times ahead. Lots of sunshine.
If it don't kill you, it makes you stronger. So
that's right, no doubt about it. Kyle, do you have anything else?
No, I'm good, man.
All right. All right. Well, we're down to a little over a month away, not too far away from Pirate football. And until the meantime, you've been listening to the Sports Objective Podcast.
You've been listening to the Sports Objective Podcast. Join us next time as the guys will be objective, and the objective is sports.